Today we come here to share with you a bit about this immersive film, The Wild Swans. So, ever since I started working at Layers of Reality about 2 years ago, I became really familiarized with the immersive room format. And I've come to really appreciate the potential that it has. But when I look around, I can see that there's immersive rooms popping up just about everywhere. But I can see with many different types of contents, ranging from exhibitions about famous painters to some abstract or experimental proposals. But within all this sea of content, there's something that I miss, and I actually feel like some of you might agree with me. And what I'm talking about are narrative content, so immersive rooms that tell a story. At the end of the day, legends and stories have been around ever since the beginnings of humanity, being told both orally and also using the technology of its times, like writing, movies, etc. So what I ask is, why not use these immersive technologies that we have today at our reach to do this very thing that makes us humans, telling stories? So that's why I decided that for my final year project of university, I would do just that, tell a fairy tale in an immersive room. I chose to adapt a story by Hans Christian Andersen, and I landed on The Wild Swans. This tale tells the story of Eliza. She's a princess whose 11 brothers have been turned into swans by an evil witch, and she does her best to save them from this curse, showing her goodness and her resilience. The reason why I chose this particular story was for the very impactful visual moments that I saw it had potential to have, like when Eliza's being carried over the ocean by her 11 swan brothers, and also in those moments of the stories where her goodness takes on a magic form and actually makes whatever's threatening her turn into beautiful flowers, like when the witch is threatening her, trying to poison her with some venomous toads, and she turns them into poppies. I found these moments really beautiful and really inspiring, and I really wanted to work on them. So when working on this adaptation of this story, I was looking at what digital artists and creative studies have been doing when they work in this format, in the immersive format, since they have a bunch of resources and tricks up their sleeve that really are specific to immersive spaces, like using patterns or certain camera movements that work really well. What I wanted to do with The Wild Swans was to take these very tricks and resources that we have all seen and that we all know just how effective they can be, and give them a narrative meaning that goes beyond just the pure visual impact that they generate. This way we can use these tricks as tools that allow us to tell a story. In this case, this fairy tale by The Wild Swans by Andersen.
So this type of content needs viewers that are not completely passive. Of course, they cannot change the narrative, but they need to shift their focus between the different worlds. And we saw that the immersive soundtrack and soundscape really helped the people follow the story. So the soundtrack is completely original, is completely based on leitmotifs that I created for each character, and that helped the viewers taking the emotional impact that each scene has over the characters. So the soundtrack and the sound effects are completely immersive. They move around the walls. And in the private screening that we did in Ideal's immersive room, we saw that this really helped people follow the story, the narrative, and their actions. So the soundtrack is it's inspired by traditional soundtracks with many orchestral elements that are inspired by Disney movies, which are also adaptations of traditional fairy tales.
So the music, but also the style, really help us transport the viewers into this magical fairy tale universe. For this visual style of the film, I wanted to merge my two passions, which are digital and analog art. So I decided to paint every single asset by hand and then later animate it digitally to get this unique visual style. This project, The Wild Swans, is far from done. We're still working on it and working on ways to take it beyond the academic space. We're lucky enough to have Brother Lab by our side. Brother Lab is a production company created by La Salle, which is my university, that helps us reach spaces that we otherwise wouldn't have access to, like last February, when we were able to do a first public screening of The Wild Swans at the ISE Fair here in Barcelona, which was really an exciting moment to see how people were reacting to it. And we are also right now working on another exciting adaptation to bring this very film into another digital arts festival, which we are thrilled about. And we wanted to share with you a small teaser of this project, Filmin Ideal. So to wrap up this presentation, I wanted to share with you a quote that really sums up our goals with this project. When technology stops being a novelty, will the work you've done with it still be good? So when people become used to these immersive spaces, and I really don't think we'll have to wait a lot for that to happen, we're gonna need to have content on them that go beyond and that people are able to really connect with. So thank you so much for your attention and for being here.